In the early 1990s, Cuba was collapsing. The Soviet Union was gone, subsidies vanished overnight, and the Cuban economy imploded. This period became known as the Special Period, a time of extreme shortages, blackouts, malnutrition, and hunger. But Fidel Castro didn't respond with reform. Instead, he turned human suffering into a geopolitical weapon. Food production collapsed, calories dropped drastically, people fainted in the streets. Yet the regime maintained tight political control, while quietly allowing desperation to build. And then Castro made his move. When internal pressure became dangerous, the regime suddenly opened the borders. Rafts, inner tubes, homemade boats, tens of thousands of Cubans were allowed to flee toward Florida. This wasn't an accident, it was policy. The 1994 Balsero Crisis sent over 35,000 Cuban refugees toward the United States in just months. Castro's message to Washington was unmistakable. If you push my regime, I will export instability directly to your shores. The United States now faced a dilemma: enforce sanctions and risk an uncontrolled migration crisis, or negotiate with the very regime causing the disaster. Castro understood something crucial: dictators who control borders can weaponize refugees. When Washington began talks, Havana tightened the exits again. Migration became a faucet, turned on when pressure rose, turned off when concessions followed. The result? The United States accepted migration agreements, eased certain pressures, and prioritized stability over regime change. Castro survived the most dangerous moment of his rule, not through economic success but through strategic coercion. Inside Cuba, hunger broke resistance. Outside Cuba, refugees reshaped United States policy. This was not resilience, it was blackmail. The regime created misery, then used that misery as leverage. Human beings became bargaining chips in a standoff between a dictatorship and a democracy. And the lesson still matters today. From Cuba to modern authoritarian states, the playbook is the same: create crisis, control the exits, and force neighbors to choose between principles and chaos. Castro didn't win the 1990s by feeding his people. He won by making their suffering someone else's problem.